Hello everyone, this is editorial video for LeetCode Weekly Contest 273. These are the four problems. Let's see first problem. In problem 1, we are given an integer num. Firstly, we have to reverse num to get reverse 1. And then again we have to reverse this reversed 1 to get reverse 2. And then we have to return true if reverse 2 is equal to num. This is a simple implementation based problem. Let's see how we will be solving it. Firstly, we have converted this num into a string, and then we have reversed the string, and then again converted this string to integer x. This x is reverse 1. After that, we have again converted this x to a string and then reversed the string, and then again converted this str to a int value. So now this x is reverse 2. After that, we are just checking if x equals to num. Let's see problem 2. In problem 2, we can see that we are given a n gross n grid with the top left cell as 0 0. Like this is the n gross n grid. This is the top left cell with coordinates 0 0, and this is the bottom right cell with coordinates n minus 1 n minus 1. We are given the integer n and an integer array start position with where start position equals to start row start column. Indicate that robot is initially at cell start row start column. Like we are given that robot is here. These are the coordinates start row and start column. We are given this. After that, we are also given 0 index string s of length m. We are also given a string s of length m, and we are given that si can be equals to l, r, u or d. These are telling the direction in which we have to move. Now the robot can begin executing from any ith instruction in s, and then it moves toward the end of s, but it stops if it moves out of the grid or there are no more instructions to execute. Let's say this is the ith index and we are starting from here. Then we will move till here, and suppose we are moving like this. If it goes out of the grid, then we will stop the execution. So we have to tell how many number of instructions we can execute if we can start from ith instruction. We have to tell for every ith instruction. So let's see the constants. We can see that constants are quite small, and that the constants are quite small, so we can directly use the brute force approach. M is the string size. This is the answer array of m length, and then we are calculating answer for each ith index. We are making j equals to I. These are the starting coordinates, and then we have put the condition if that j is less than m, x is greater than or equal to 0, x is less than m. These conditions are telling that it is inside the grid, and this is telling that there are some more instructions left in the string s. After it, we are simply checking the current instruction, and then if it is left, like we can see, if we want to move left, then we have to decrease y coordinate. If we have to move right, then we have to increase y coordinate. If we have to move up, then we have to decrease x coordinate, and if we have to move down, then we have to increase x coordinate. So this is what we are doing here. If we want to move left, we have decreased y coordinate, and then we are checking if it is still inside grid, then it means we can do this, we can execute this instruction. So we are increasing ith answer. We have initialized it with 0, so we are increasing the number of operations we can do if we start from if we start from ith index of S. Similarly, we have done for all directions and we have written the answer. Let's see third problem. In third problem, we are given an array of n integers and the interval between two elements in array is defined as the absolute difference between their indices. Like, let's say this is the example. We can see this 2 and this 2. Let me draw it. We can see that these two elements are common and these three elements are common and these two elements are common. Now what it is asking? Yes. So this is asking for each index I, we have to tell the sum of intervals between array I and each element in array with the same value as array I. Let's say for this two, we can see this 2. So we will do 0, absolute value of 0 minus 4, which will be 4. And for this 2, we can see that another 2 is here. So we will do 4 minus 0, which is again 4. Now let's see for this one. For this one, we can see that first one is here and second one is here. So we will do absolute value of 1 minus 3, which is 2. Similarly here, we will get a 2. But now, let's see this part. We can see that first 3 is here and the next two 3's are here. So we will do absolute value of 2 minus 5 plus absolute value of 2 minus 6, which will be 3 plus 4, which will be equals to 7. So that's how we have to solve. First we have to find all the elements which are same and their indices. Like for element 2 we can see that it is at index 0 and 4. For element 1 it is at index 1 and 3. For element 3 it is at index 2, 5 and 6. Similarly, we have to calculate answer. For this index 2 value, we just have to do absolute value of 2 minus 5 plus absolute value of 2 minus 6. For this 5, we have to do absolute value of 5 minus 2 plus absolute value of 6 minus 2. 5 minus 6. Similarly, for this 6, we have to do absolute value of 6 minus 2 plus absolute value of 6 minus 5. Now one thing we notice is that for calculating the answer for index 5, these all values will be smaller than 5 and these all values will be greater than 5. So let's say this is the count 1. These are the count 1 number of values and this is count 2 number of values. And sum of all these values is sum 1 and sum of all these values is sum 2. Now for finding the answer for this index 5, we can simply do 5 into count 1, 5 into count 1 minus sum 1 plus we can do sum 2 minus 5 into count 2. This is because we can notice that this 5 is greater than all these elements. So instead of 2 minus 5, we will write 5 minus 2, and in this, instead of writing similarly here, we can see like for this 6, these all values are smaller than 6. So we can simply do 6 minus 2 and 6 minus 5. For 5, we will do 5 minus 2 and 6 minus 5. This will get converted to 6 minus 5. So we are subtracting sum 2. So we are subtracting 5 into count 2 from sum 2. So this is how we will be solving it. Now let's see how we will be solving it in a efficient way. Firstly, for each element, we have mapped it with the vector of indices at which it is occurring. After that, we are taking the prefix sum of all these vectors, and after taking the prefix sum, this prefix sum will help us to give sum 1 and sum 2 in oven time. We can calculate sum 1 and sum 2 in oven time using prefix sum. After that, this is the answer array. So we are putting upper bound on the value of index to get the like we want to find the answer for this fifth element. So we are putting the upper bound on 5. So we will get this index. We will get the index in the array map with the value 3. So we will get the value 2. After that, after getting that index, this is the element we are having. So we are putting, this is the array which is mapped to that. This is the array which is mapped to that element. So we are putting the upper bound on that to get the value of index just higher than the index we need. After that, we are calculating, this is the count 1 and count 2, and this is sum 1 and this is sum 2. If id minus 2 is greater than or equal to 0, then sum 1 will be this, then sum 1 will be this whole sum, which is pre-sum. This is prefix sum id minus 2. And if we want this sum, then we have to just subtract sum of whole minus till this value. So we have taken sum 2x x pre-sum element dot back. This is the last element, and we are subtracting id minus 1 value. And this is the expression we have made, count 1 into I minus sum 1 plus sum 2 minus count 2 into I. And after it, we are returning the answer array. Let's see the last problem. In last problem, we are given some array. It is having 2n elements. This is n is equals to 3 here. So we are having 6 elements. And we have split it into 2 arrays. This is lower I. It is made up of lower I and higher I. So let's say we are having some original array which is having n elements. After that, we have taken a arbitrary positive integer k. Let's say this is k. Firstly, we have added k to all elements, and then we have subtracted k to all elements. By this, we will get n elements, and by doing this, we again get n elements. After that, we have combined all these elements into a single array which we are given in the input. Now we have to find the original array A from it. This K is not given to us, so we have to tell how we can do it. The answer is always existing, so let's see how to solve it. Firstly, we have sorted the array. Now, firstly, let's find the potential value of K. For finding the potential value of K, we can know that, let's say, there are two elements, AI and AJ. If it is formed from, let's say, this is the original element in array A, and then we have added K to it, and we have subtracted K from it. If we subtract K from it, then we will get AI, and if we will add K to it, then we will get AJ. Then this K will be, let's find this X first. We know that X minus K equals to AI, and X plus K is equals to AJ. This X minus K will be equals to AI and not AJ. Why I am saying so? This I is less than J and K is a positive value, and we have already sorted the array A which is given. The array given is not the original array. We have to return the original array. Let's say this is answer array. We have to return this answer array, and this array A we are given. Now we can see that from these two equations, K equals to AI plus AJ by 2 minus AI. This will be sum of AI plus AJ. We can see that AI plus AJ should be divisible by 2 so that we can get K as an integer value, as it is already mentioned that K is a positive integer K. So for we are fixing the AI which is A0, and then we are iterating through all the elements other than A0, and we are checking if sum is divisible by 2, and the result which is sum by 2 minus AI, this is the value of K. If value of K is greater than 0, then we will insert it as a potential answer. This is storing potential values of K. So we are storing all the potential values of K. We can see that there can be at most n potential values of n potential values of K. After that, we are taking this all values in a integer vector st. So we have taken all these value in an integer array st. After that, these are the map of int frequency 1 and frequency 2. In frequency 1 and frequency 2, we will be storing all the frequency of all the elements in A. This is the frequency 1 map in which we are storing frequency of all the elements in A, and this is frequency. After that we are iterating, we are checking if answer can exist for any potential value of K. Now this will take on complexity. Now this again we are taking on. It will be kind of n log n because we are using this frequency dot find. As we can see that n can go up to 10 to power 3. So our complexity can go up to 10 to power 6 log 10 to power 6, which will be sufficient to pass. So we are checking for each potential value of K. Firstly, we have we have made frequency equals to frequency 1, and this is the answer array we will be generating. For each element, we are iterating over the whole array A, and we are checking if AI exists in frequency. And we don't need to check this because it will be true obviously. We can directly just check if frequency AI is not equal to 0, then we are checking frequency AI plus 2k. Let's say this is AI, then what will be AJ? Then what will be AJ? AJ will obviously be X plus 2k because they are having a difference of 2k. We can see that if this is AI, if AI is equal to some X, then AJ will be X plus 2k because there are difference of 2k. So we are checking if AI plus 2k exists in frequency, and if it is exist, if the and checking if the frequency of AI plus 2k is not equal to 0. Basically, AI plus 2k, this is the potential value of AJ which we want. And if it is existing, then we are pushing AI plus k into the answer vector, and decreasing the frequency of AI and AI plus 2k. And after all this is done, we are checking if there are n by 2 elements, because if there are not n by 2 elements, then we are sure that answer does not exist for that potential value of k. If we found any answer, then we will directly return it. If we are not able to find any answer, then we are returning an empty array. So that's it. Thanks for watching.